Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maureen O'Connor from Quilters Heaven in Northbrook, Illinois, and I am the Opinionated Quilter. Today's episode number 175 is decoding a difficult quilt pattern. If at first you don't succeed, try again. I will get to that in a moment, but first I want to comment on thread. I had one of my customers who is a viewer come in the shop yesterday, and she said, would I talk about thread? She's going places where they are really pushing poly thread. When I started quilting, the mantra was 100% cotton because the poly is too strong for the fibers of the cotton fabric and will eventually cut through. Well, in all the quilts that I've ever made, I've never seen that happen. The baby quilts get destroyed before they're around long enough for the thread to cut through the cotton, and the others that are not baby quilts, that are not destroyed due to overuse, they're fine. I haven't had any problem with it. However, I've always characterized myself as a fiber snob, and I don't like poly. I like cotton. So I love my Aurifil thread, and I've seen all over Facebook how people have trouble with the Aurifil thread, that it breaks. I have never had a problem with it. I don't know why people do have issues with it. I don't know if their machines aren't threaded right, they don't have the right needle in, they've got a burr on the needle. I don't know. But I love my Aurifil 50 weight cotton thread for piecing. I use Isacord thread, which is poly, for machine embroidery. I like the look of that. But then Sarah Vedler, who, if you know her, she's a great designer of embroidery projects. She uses all 100% cotton Aurifil thread, and her things look beautiful. So the bottom line to me is use what you like. Use what works for your project. I know that's not a great opinion for the opinionated quilter, but you have to use what works on your machine that you like. Maybe you want a poly wrapped cotton. There's those kinds of threads too. I don't use those. I use the 100% cotton in my long arm. I use the 28 weight. That's what I like. But you should use what you like. Test it out, test it out, test it out. And when somebody's trying to push you to use something you don't want to use, ignore them. So that's my opinion, non-opinion. Let's get to the episode. This is the picture that Maria, who works here, sent me and wanted to figure out how to make this quilt. She found it, I believe, on Pinterest and then went to the site, and it was a finished quilt that a woman was offering for sale. There was no pattern. So she asked if I could figure it out. Well, she presented me with the most difficult figure out the pattern issue since I did the Amish Bargello. But we did eventually get it figured out, and I will show you later the different tries we went through to figure it out. But I always say print out a picture and look at it, and that's what I did here. And I stared and stared and stared. Was it columns? Was it blocks? How was this made? And as I looked at it, I could see that the stripe was going horizontally here and vertically here. So there has to be a seam here. So as I look closer to the picture, you can actually see the seams. So to make it easier to figure out, I took a Sharpie and drew the lines on here so I could see how it was put together. So you can see the 45-degree join here with the change in colors, and then this is a piece, this is a piece, this is a piece, and they're all sewn together on in diagonal rows. So now I did one step before I figured out that these were just trapezoids, and I'll show you that up on the board in a minute. But after I figured out that we were doing trapezoids, I then went through my ruler box and pulled out any ruler that I thought would possibly work. And then I picked which ruler I was going to use. Just going to put this paper here so you can see the rulers a little bit better. I pulled out this one and found, as I laid it, I wanted to use 1.5 inch strips. As I laid it on my strip, there wasn't any lines up here that were going to help me figure out where I was going to place the ruler, so I rejected that one. I tried Deb Tucker's Hunter Star, because this is a 45-degree ruler here, and there's a line that would work. This is a possibility. I'm going to see if I want to use this one or if I decide to go to another one. I grabbed the Edita Sitar Alaska ruler and quickly saw that this was never going to work because there aren't any lines this way that are going to help me on my strip. So I rejected that one for sure. And I looked at this one, and while there are lines on here, they're too low for what I think I was trying to do. So I rejected that one. I tried this one, and this is the one I ultimately selected because it has lines where I would perhaps want to use it. So I picked this one, but as I was doing this exercise, this is just a little aside, has nothing to do with the episode. These are the exact same rulers. They have the exact same markings on them. They have different numbers here, because this is says blocks, but it even has the same diagram here and here that's on this one. And this says it says flying geese ruler, so it has flying geese size instead of block size. But I just thought that was kind of interesting to see that you can have two of the exact same ruler in your box, but they're different rulers. So anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll put up my samples and show you how we got to the final product. I started with how am I going to make the spacing between the 45-degree joins equidistant from each other. And I thought, well, if I start with pieces the exact same size and draw the 45-degree line, sew on the line and flip it up and get a piece that looks like this, and then you match them all up, they would have to they'd have to be the same distance. But first, after I did it, I said, well, that's a big waste of fabric cutting those off every time. And when I sewed them together, this doesn't look like the picture. In the picture, these go into this color. I'm going to put the picture back on the screen so you can see it. So you can see how this goes into this lighter yellow here. This goes into the brown there. There's the triangle there. This didn't happen here. These just all exactly meet. So that was a fail. So that's then when we said, oh, just start with trapezoids. So, oops, this kind of came down. So that's what I did. I cut trapezoids after I picked my ruler, and I did this one first, starting with the pink and the brown. And the one thing you have to remember when you join the trapezoids are when you start sewing, you have to intersect at 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here. If you don't, they won't line up right. If you've sewn any kind of shapes with these angles before, you know that already. But for any of you who are new to this, you have to make sure that you intersect at a 1/4 inch. And I do it just by vision, but you can put a little mark at a 1/4 inch here and here so that you know that has to be where your needle comes off. So I did this sample piece, and this came up how it's supposed to look. You can see how this darker pink here is going into the lighter pink here. So that is how the pattern looks. And this one's not sewn on, but once it would get sewn on, it will work. That the pattern will come out like it's supposed to come out. So I had a success there. Now, Maria, who gave me the challenge, went home and made her piece, and these are her trapezoids. These are my trapezoids at the 2.5 inch width. I wanted to duplicate the 2.5 inch width because she used the 2.5 inch width, and she didn't get enough of this green coming into this orange, the orange coming into the pink with polka dots. This is just a teeny little tip, and she thought it should have more. So what changes the size of how deep this goes into this section? It's how wide you start your trapezoid. So if we look at hers, you know, I think I should do this on the table. I'm going to pause for 1 second, and we'll put these on the table so that you can see this better. So on Maria's, if I line my 2.5 inch by 5 inch line from the Flying Geese ruler on the bottom of the strip, that's where hers were cut, with just a very small little bit up here at the top. When I did mine, I lowered the line to the 3 by 6 line. So now I have a longer piece up here. And when we focus back up on the bulletin board, you'll see that this gets a much deeper indentation into the next color. So here's mine, where it goes much deeper into the next color. Here's my indentation versus her tiny little one here. And you could go deeper if you wanted to, but to me, this looks like the picture if you were using 2.5 inch strips. This looks like the picture if you were using 1.5 inch strips. And how do you find, for whatever size you want to do, make a test. That's really kind of the only way to do it. But I think we were successful. She's going to finish hers and make a charity quilt. This is nothing. This is going to go back into the dog bed stuffing bag. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with these. I have enough of this cut that I could make a small charity quilt. This, I would have to do an awful lot of work to make something big enough to use, but we'll see. We'll have to have it mull around in the mind for a little bit. But that's really, the lesson is keep trying. If the first thing you do doesn't work, look, reevaluate, maybe have another set of eyes look at it, any of your quilting friends, and say, what do you think? So once it's what I've said before, no pattern, no problem, print out a picture and figure it out. You can do it. Let's get to the winner of the giveaway. The winner of the keepsake fabrics is Michelle Ownbay 454. So it's Michelle 2 L's OWNBEY 454. Please send me your mailing address to quiltersheaveninc@gmail.com and I will get that fabric right out to you. This week's giveaway, I'm running out of things, and I keep saying to myself, when I die, I don't want all my kids to have to go through all my fabric. I want to get rid of everything. I'm not one that says he who dies with the most fabric wins. I don't want to do that to my kids. So I went through some more fabric recently, and this is all very random stuff. It's some butterflies, some just random fabric. Foxes. I think this is from RJR Fabrics. Is that what I saw earlier? Oh, it's Robert Kaufman. Excuse me, Robert Kaufman. I have no idea what this is. Oh, this was the RJR fabric. Some bicycles. Blender. And one of those ones, what do you call them? Changes. I wish I could think of the name. I'm getting old. But this is from Westminster. Free Spirit. Dots. If I can fit more into the envelope, I will. This is the envelope I use. I should be able to fit all this in there. If there's any room left, I will fill it full. And if you'd like this crazy random bundle, you know what to do. You want to like this video. You want to comment on this video. And you want to subscribe to my channel. And in the comments, write random fabrics. And you will be entered to win. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for all the great ideas for episodes. I really appreciate all of them. I appreciate all of you. And until next time, happy sewing.